The public sector. What are we talking about? The public sector. What exactly is public sector? It's the sector which has been governed, manned, monitored, evaluated, and implemented by the federal government or the government that has been governing the land. It might be the provincial government, it might be the federal government. Usually, it is the central government that we talk about it. The public sector is nothing but that organization that is owned and run by government. The main purpose is to provide goods. The main purpose is to provide services that are considered too big or too important for the security of the country or for the general welfare of the country to be left to the private organization, private people, private company. So the government takes the onus onto itself to service its own people for the safeguard of their own citizens and the safeguards of their own, providing them with a guaranteed living standard per se. So what are the examples of public sector? We have the prolific example of BBC, British Broadcasting Corporation. We have the post office, the National Post Office, the mail services that we are talking about it. We are talking about NHS, the National Health Services, again a byproduct of a public sector from the country United Kingdom, and one of the best health services across the globe has been provided by NHS. The public goods is non-rivalry. Consumption of the goods by one individual does not, I repeat, does not reduce the amount available for other. For example, street lighting, the roads, the railways, the freight, the landing, the ports, the airports, the seaports. What about non-exclusive excludability? Should be imposed to exclude anyone from benefiting it. Now, this is non-executive excludable. Why is it that it is open for the general consumption of the public? Whoever wants to afford to utilize it can go ahead and utilize it. At certain sectors, it might be charged a nominal amount of money, but beyond it, it is free for everyone. Let me recount the local authority services. It is usually regarded that at least the primary education should be the responsibility of the government, and the government should ensure that free education is available for its citizens. Recreation, sports hall, libraries, swimming pools. We are talking about housing. Proper housing to be provided by the council, housing, homeless shelter. What happens when the temperature drops? What happens when it is raining? If there are homeless shelters, for perhaps the poor people can go for a night here and there as on when on basis. Environment and conservation, litter clearances, pest control, communication to isolate villages, including roads and traffic control, protection and fire police. We are talking about social services, social workers, community care, meal on wheels per se. So where does the money come from? The central government grants. One, for example, the central government grant, the federal government is giving certain grants to ensure that the public goods are being well maintained. The council tax, whether the government gets the money from the tax collection, usage charges for recreational use. Did I say there might be some nominal charges for utilization of certain things? For example, the airport or the seaport. So there are certain charges that you need to pay for it. So this is where it has been funded from. What are we looking? Why local authority control, not the central government? Too much for the central government to control? Definitely yes. At times it becomes too magnanimous for the central government, the federal government to control over it. So local authorities should be more in tune with the differing requirements of the local community. Local councillors are accountable, local to the local electorate, the local population, they are in touch with the local people, right? That is what we are looking into it. The provincial government should take the mandate from the local indigenous people, the people living in the vicinity, and look into their comfort zone or what is bothering them. Probably this is why the local authority should control and not the central government. Quango, that is quasi-autonomous non-governmental organization. Again, I repeat, Quango is quasi-autonomous NGOs or quasi-autonomous non-government organization. These are political, controversial activities that is being carried by Congos. For example, IIP, the intellectual property rights, what are we looking is His Excellency's founding council or any grants or um, any activities that is done for the beneficial of the society is being done for, and that is what Congo is all about. It quasi-autonomous non-governmental organization. Many at times the government issues some sort of subsidies, give some sort of subsidies to the poorest of the section or to the industry that requires a bit of nurturing at any point of time. So this is where the Congo steps in. We'll talk about nationalization, where a company that used to be run by the private sector becomes a government run all of a sudden. And that is what we need to understand. Where a company that used to be run by a private sector becomes a government run all of a sudden. Why? Because it has been nationalized. Why? Because its ownership rights have been usurped by the federal government. Generally for the following reason: because of the political reason, national security, failing industry. Why failing industry? Some government would like to take, because to protect employment and ensure that the citizens are kept with a job. Natural monopolies provide a service to the public sectors, as the case might be. Example of nationalization: the Bank of England nationalized in 1946 to have a special role in the monetary system. That is what the Bank of England is all about. It in 1997 was given the power by the government to decide what level of interest should be in UK. Might be, we need to understand everything time and there, what we're looking for and how do we go for. In 1997 was given the power by the government to decide what level of interest rate should be there in UK per se. It is headed by a governor who is answerable to the chancellor and the exchequer thereby. This is what we are all striving to go forward to. It is headed by a governor who is answerable to the chancellor. So, what are we looking for? We are looking for nationalization, where the private entity, private company has been usurped by the federal government for a host of reasons. Now, what is the reasons for privatizations? Wherein the governmental organization or government promotes the capital investment by the private party, by the public, and to man their organization on their own. Where the company, where the organization that used to be run by the state are sold to the private entities, and this is the reverse of nationalizations. So what are we looking out here? We are talking for reason for and reason against the privatization. Puts control of the industry in private hands, encourages people to own shares. The reasons for privatization: increase efficiency by introducing competition. People are provided quality product at a much cheaper rate, reduce government subsidies altogether. All the headaches of the government, all the intricacies of the bureaucracy has been done and dusted for. Politically, state control is not desirable in business. Private sector decision making is much faster than the government. What are we looking as for the reason that are against it? Monopolies are created. In cases, if it is given privatization, there would be a monopoly by one dominant partner, and they might sway the prices altogether. So it's better not to privatize. Private industry is not in the interest of providing non-profitable services. Remember, private industries are only for meant for profitable services, profitable benefits, and nothing for non-profitable, nothing for free, nothing for social benefit. Private companies may not be able to afford the investment needed. Competition is wasteful as the resources are duplicated, as the case might be. Profit go only to the wealthy few who can afford the shares, as on well-on basis. More efficiency is equal to greater job losses. This is what we're looking into. Profits are not diverted only to the wealthy. That is for the reason for the against privatization. More efficiency means greater job losses. That means you are reducing manpower, you are ensuring the more productivity is happening, but at the cost of jobs, at the cost of job losses. With this, I come to an end of this presentation on the public sector. Thank you for watching it.